Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the War in the East as we continue. So, the war is starting to draw to a close, which is a good thing to be able to say. We are closing on Baku, though we do need to get supplies there ASAP, and by supplies I mean fuel. Though soon we'll have control of the city of Gundabes, the town of Gundabes, which is going to make things significantly easier. We'll be able to get the rails running down here nice and smoothly. So speaking of rails, let's get that up and going. Interestingly to note, we have some partisan activity over this way. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Alright, the Italian forces over here need to deal with these. These guys down here should be heavily taxed for supplies. Then again, I'm suffering over here. We do need to pull back to the city of Engels, which is good. We'll be able to take that. Saratov has fallen as well to our forces. We'll be able to secure the river line. We are pushing on Kubayshev, which is not far away. We don't have the capabilities to get there this turn. We can get close. We need to destroy these forces over here, so I'll do that first of all. And then what we'll do is we'll consolidate our forces towards supply and go from there. Notice our attack is significantly lower now. Right, reform this division. Okay, there we go. 14,000 men. Fantastic. So we'll destroy these forces and then we'll move on. I mean, we do have a mechanized corps over here, the second mechanized, which is pretty sweet. Okay, move up. There we go, 15 for guards. Right, there's only 3,000 men here. Still 140, around about 140 AFPs though. Irritated. Okay, finally. That costs us a few AFBs, but it's worthwhile taking that out. See if I can do the same with this division. They are across the river, so I imagine, yeah, they'll hold. Okay. So what we need to do now is we need to remove the partisan threat, we need to establish our supply lines. We are suffering over here in the north, but so are the Ruskies. We do have supply lines that will move up this way, so let's see. Rail lines are running. Not too bad. Hello there, Kalek, how you doing, my dude? It's not going bad at all. I've got about, just, I don't know, about 44 minutes, something around that region of time, so I thought I'd get a stream in here. So we need to run the rails a bit further up. Ideally connect it with this line too. Excuse me. Okay. Right. Which is the control to show the highlight. There we go, control 9. That's what I need. So let's take a look here then. Supply MP 18. Yeah, so these guys are suffering with rail. Yeah, I'm not surprised about this. This is an issue. I think what we're going to do then is... Well, then again, do we continue to push on towards Gorky? I think what we'll do is we'll solidify our lines just here, connect these lines up, and then we can push towards Gorky. So, let's fix this line. Right, there we go. So this line will be fixed over here. This should be fixed potentially next turn. We just need to work on consolidating these rail lines. But once we have this link up over here, that's going to make it much stronger. More flexible. We have our forces over here too. Now, I do need to push the rail line towards Saratov so we can actually get the supplies moving out here. Though I think I'm going to head north along this line, potentially. So we can try and move it towards here. Though, we did push quite far out here, which is understandable. So what we need to do then is we need to push the infantry forward. Though, whether that's worth it or not is another story. So, let's see. I need to find where my air transports are. I need to really get them in order. So let's go with air groups. Right, aircraft. Right, none. I'm looking for my transports. Right, here we go. H variant. Oh, these are Hungarians, okay. That makes more sense. Okay. What we'll do then is deselect that. So we have some Romanian ones over here too. So we have a good amount over here. So what we'll do then is basically send these guys to the reserve. Yes, to reserve. Once they're all in reserve, we'll assign them to appropriate airfields where they will be needed. I'd imagine if there's any losses to the actual squadron itself, they should be replenished or at least repaired in reserve. We also do need to look for our Tigers and our siege guns. Okay, so they've all been moved to the reserve. So if we take a look over here, sign, they'll be there in the next turn, which works for me, at least then we'll be able to work it out. So, this is the vital supply line here. This is the archery that's keeping this force alive. Extremely vital. Okay. I need to deal with these forces to the north here. And the fact is we have no rail connection down to Stalingrad, which is pretty rough. We are going to have to work on that. Though I think what we'll have to do then is just solidify our control along the riverbank and then go from there. So we do have a good amount of forces for that. We do have Romanian troops as well to help us out in that effort, which is quite nice. So let's see here. We have elements of the Panzer Group. Let's just crush this first of all. And there we go, that's 10,000 men gone. Almost 500 armoured fighting vehicles too. If we take a look at the losses screen here, we can see... That's new. I'm sure that's new. I feel like that is a new thing. Access logistics. I do feel like that's new. I don't think I even updated the game either, so that's rather interesting. I wonder if it was an automatic update. Thankfully, it's apparently compatible, so I'll take that as it comes. Right, since your last turn. I'm loving this, actually. Okay. So, we've lost 315 men since last turn. These are casualties. These are obviously permanent losses. 253 men killed. 82 disabled. Soviets have lost so far 30,000 805 men, 400 guns, 509 armoured fighting vehicles, 127 self-propelled and armoured cars. Yeah, not many killed, however. The vast majority have been captured. That's good to see. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. If it had happened something like this, it's a very interesting proposition. I imagine the UK would not have surrendered. They would have kept on fighting. Really would be an interesting scenario to see. What would happen in the wider geopolitics if the Soviet Union fell so hard in 1941? I mean, Moscow's fallen, Leningrad's fallen, Kiev, Minsk, Baku's not far from fallen, Sevastopol hasn't fallen yet, Odessa's fallen. A hell of a lot of major cities, Smolensk. Massive cities have fallen here. The Baltics, well, the Baltic states have been completely taken over. Finland is pushing here. Honestly, I don't think it would be possible. It would not be possible for the Germans to be able to keep this logistical effort going. No way in hell. They struggled getting to Moscow, so going beyond Moscow would have been practically impossible. But I would say it really would be up to the Americans, to be honest. I think it would just end in a long war, potentially. Or, I mean, would the Third Reich really be able to gain much in the way of usable resources? Not really. They would have gained breathing room at the massive expense of life and of the Wehrmacht. But, I mean, if they subdued the Soviets, then at least they would have had that breathing room in the east. They would have had the ability to somewhat consolidate in Europe, I suppose you could say. I don't know, I'd say probably stalemate. I still think they probably would lose a long war. And the fact is the Allies could keep strategic bombings up. I mean, the German war machine was able to function by having men in the industry, but then the army would take the men from the industry for short campaigns. A long campaign like this is not what the Wehrmacht was built for. They were not able to keep up long wars. So, the massive amount of losses here would still strain the Allied effort. Well, the German effort. Nukes are... they're not that effective, really. I mean, you look at the Japanese, it took 2 of them. And that was with the Soviets in Manchuria. I would say that really forced them to capitulate. I mean, there was the, what was it, Operation Overlord? Was it Overlord? No, I can't remember the name of the actual operation for the American invasion of Japan, and that would have been a bloodbath. That would have been fucking hell. So I think the nukes did help push them, but I don't think it ended the war. It was just a part of it. In the end, they're just gigantic bombs, and you imagine the amount of incendiary bombs, the amount of actual just bombs in general that was dropped on Japan was just far more in excess of the nuclear weapons. And like, how many could the Allies reasonably keep producing? It would take time, and if the first 2 didn't work, then yeah. Operation Downfall, that's it. Okay. It's an interesting topic, really. It's one of those where you could spend a long time talking about it. I do need to get back into my reading, to be honest. I've got quite a lot to do. I have got one to finish in the future called Kaigan, which is basically the history of the Japanese Navy, and basically tactics, reasoning, which I can't wait to finish. Well, can't wait to even start, to be honest. Okay. Back to topic. This is the danger down here. So if I just keep 3 divisions here, should be fine. Let's see. We'll move this group forwards. It's definitely a good game. I can't honestly wait for one of these 2. Really cannot. Okay, take the city. So what do we have over here then? Practically nothing. A little bit of supply. Oops, getting a phone call, 1 second. Hi, Dad.
Hello, right.
Okay, apologies about that, just had to take a phone call. Right then, yes, so we are going to take this town slash city. Oh, what do you think would happen, but, well, realistically after this scenario? I'd imagine, well, let's go with the short term. It's easier to talk about the short term than it is long term. It would take a huge amount of resources to keep the Soviet lands, well, the Russian lands. Honestly, I think it would see the creation of, like, I mean, I don't think it would be possible for the German Plan Ost. German Plan Ost is just absolutely unrealistic. I would see, I would imagine, like, the creation of new regimes, like a free Ukraine, possibly, like, a new Russian state, potentially. You'd honestly have to find collaborators. It honestly would depend on just a collaboration scheme, really. Otherwise, the Germans would not have anywhere near the manpower to keep anything like this under control. Never mind keeping the rest of Europe under control and keeping the British out of Europe and the Americans out of the war. Okay. I'd imagine it would result in a guerrilla campaign, with the Allies really giving the equipment. Well, this is it. It's like, what do you call them? The Hueys, the volunteers, I suppose. Not all of them were volunteers, obviously. No, I need to go back. But yeah, collaborations. That would be the only way for it to reasonably work. I mean, if the Germans had gone about it in a different way, potentially came as liberators, like in the initial stage of the war, you had uprisings in the Baltic, where they fought against the Soviets, obviously, to free the Baltic states. I mean, if the Germans had gone in as something of liberators, i.e. liberating them from the Soviet regime, I mean, it was basically two fucking inhuman regimes. You had the regime of the Third Reich and the regime of the Soviet Union. It's like, which one do you fucking choose? Because they're both going to kill you. So, a hell of a choice, really. Well, lack of a choice. Okay. So, if this town over here. Right there, looking hard. Yeah, I mean, like, this scenario here, if I'd have been playing the normal scenario, i.e. basically you take the major cities and you win, then I would have won a long time ago. This is the bitter end scenario where basically you fight until the end. Okay. I've been doing a lot of talking here. Right, I need that. Let's consolidate here. Okay, so I have another cord over this way. That's fine. Okay, we need to have our panzer forces head back towards supply lines. Right, how far are you from supply? 35. Yeah, we have a very, very healthy vehicle pool here, to be honest. Oh yeah, we're gonna lose a good amount of vehicles during this, but it's the winter I'm worried about. It's good to have a challenge again, though, I'm not gonna lie. Perhaps the Soviets might recover somewhat. It's not possible for the Soviets to really just recover. They can recover a little bit, but not going to recover fully. They just lost far too much for that to happen. Okay. So as long as we keep on advancing towards Kubayshev. If I can take Kubayshev, I would be happy. I don't think it's going to happen during this season. Yeah, there's a lot here, so if we were to take that away from the Soviet state, that would definitely help us. They've lost a hell of a lot of their manpower. It's like if we take a look over here then, at production, we can go to captured. You can see here that we've captured a hell of a lot of manpower. As a shitload of manpower. I can't remember how much the Soviets have, but I think it's around about half of their manpower, somewhere around that point. Which is a lot. And then obviously we've captured oil production, fuel production, resource production. It's going to make things quite easy. I mean, we've not lost a single point of production. They've lost a hell of a lot. I mean, the manpower losses alone are going to hurt them. In the long run, anyway. So we'll take a look at the captured equipment. I mean, the fact that we're using Panzer T4s are quite cool. Okay. Are you going to do a fight forward approach in winter or 1-2 hex withdrawal per turn? Honestly, we're going to have to see how it goes. I need to really consolidate my logistics. But I mean, we do have the 18th that can act as a reserve army. Which is very, very powerful. Right, let's see. Right, types. So, we have light tanks, we have a few mediums. We're actually using some Matildas. Matilda 2. Good tank. Being used with the 14th Panzer Division. Okay. The fact is we have a hell of a lot of captured equipment, a lot of captured guns, which is absolutely lovely. We do have a few KVs. I mean, we're starting to see KV-1Ss, which is rather interesting. We do have a lot of KV-1s, we do have a few KV-2s. We actually got some Churchills, which I like. A couple Churchills. Tank destroyers would be nice to have. I mean, flamethrower tanks are very handy. I'd love to see that in a unit. Sorry. Actually, speaking of flamethrower tanks, let's see, do we have our own? We should have our own, because I would love to use them for, like, urban fighting. We need to actually have these support units deployed to where they're going to be useful. Right. It seems they're not actually in any units at the moment. Considering they're not being produced yet, that would make sense. So we do have Tigers in one unit, which is in the 2nd Panzer Army. Which is over here. So we can have them deployed to where they're needed, really. Okay. We're going to consolidate the panzers around the cities of Saratov and Engels. Most because those are our best choices. one of these two. Right, what's going to be rather interesting, from what I can gather from what I read some time ago of one of these, basically you're going to have a hell of a bigger, well, a hell of a lot more to say in terms of production. So the idea is, let's say, well, let's see. So, right, okay. So we have the different Panzer variants, for example. So, to make a Panzer 4G, you need to have a Panzer 4 hull. Well, chassis. So basically, you need one of those. Now you have the choice, do you put more Panzer 4 hulls to making the G variant? Or do you ignore the G variant and go towards another variant? So you have more options like that, and it's like if you were to create, I don't know, let's see, let's say like a Panzerjäger, is it Panzerjäger? Jagdpanzer, that's it, yeah. So it's like, do you want instead of producing Panzer Gs, produce Panzer 4s? Sorry, Jagdpanzer 4s, which obviously still use the Panzer 4 hull. So you get choices like that. Honestly, I cannot wait for it. I mean, it's obviously going to have the one in the east, the one in the west logistical system, which is going to be fantastic. Hell of a lot better. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I might just keep bugging them via email, see when, any updates on it. Okay, there we go. Retake angles. Error interdiction there. See, these guys have a decent amount of fuel. Right, we'll move the Panzers over here to support. A lot of ground covered over here. Okay, fall back to the city. Okay. So logistically we're doing okay here. Obviously this region does need more. There's a lot of airfields here. A few units as well. I don't think I want to advance right now in areas that aren't really vital. The areas we do want to advance in are Gorky, though I need to really push onto Gorky. If I can secure Gorky, that's going to be a nice fuel hub, nice supply hub to use. So very much would like that. Okay, so we have a infantry corps over here, rifle corps. These Jaegers are going to come in very, very handy. Okay. Secure the river line. I might be able to push these back if I gain a little bit more force. It's going to be far harder to deal with these partisans too. Actually, I'd like these guys assigned to something else. So what we'll do then is we'll have them assigned to Army Group. Let's go with AGC. And again, is AGC in control of this front? Ninth Army. I'd imagine Ninth Army is under AGN. Yeah, it's under AGN. Okay. So we'll have the Jaegers assigned to AGN. Then we'll have them move down to this area. Jaegers will come in very handy for this sort of thing. Also, it takes some of the pressure off of this army. There we go. The thing is, I'd love to send the Jaegers down to the courses. It's just a hell of a lot of rail capacity to use for something like that. And it will fall in time, regardless. They're going to be very heavily hemorrhaging supplies. And the fact is, we've also redeployed all of our transport aircraft to the National Reserve. So basically what I'll do is I'll have them assigned to these airfields down here. And just get the fuel moving down there. Get the fuel and supply moving. Once they have fuel and supply, they're going to be able to just push on through. The fact is, if I can just cut them off from Baku, the city will fall. Or if I just cut off the city from the rest of the Caucasus, then the Caucasus will fall. And once that falls, and once that's cut off, Sevastopol will fall eventually. And these troops are very well dug in. I mean, they have some elite troops over here. The 26th Guards Rifle Corps, the 16th Rifle Corps, the 2nd Guards Rifle Corps. And these units could have been used better elsewhere. I mean, they're still fairly sizable too. Okay. So you have more reinforcements over here. Luftwaffe Field Corps. Arab Motorized Infantry. Let's see, what reinforcements do we receive? So, we've got replacement Finnish infantry battalions. We have more field divisions from the Luftwaffe. Totenkopf's FS Motorized Division is going to be withdrawn to become back as a Panzergrenadier Division. Yeah, more Luftwaffes, more Stugs, a few Stugged battalions. The 11th Army is actually going to be withdrawn, which is interesting. Indeed, just a few more Luftwaffe divisions. Another battalion of Tigers will come. Another cavalry brigade is actually very bloody handy. The 2nd SS Panzer Corps. Das Reich SS Panzergrenadier Division. Liebenstadt Adolf Hitler SS Panzergrenadier Division. Right, let's take a look at our units. What do we receive? So you can see here next turn I'm going to gain all these back. You can see a few of them are damaged. Hopefully some of these can be repaired. I mean, these are incredibly valuable. Oh, I do gain some more Junkers over here. This is fantastic. When do I gain the big boy? Let's find him. Right, equipment. Actually. Production. Germany. Righto. These are what I'm hoping for, the ME-323s. So we'll have these in September 1942, actually. So they should start to appear in the future. So they're being produced in Nuremberg and Ulm. Yeah, these babies can carry a hell of a lot. So, I mean, their max load is 28,668. Compare that to the Junker 52/3. As you can see, that is a colossal difference in lifting capacity. Those things are behemoths. Okay. So I'm rapidly running out of time, and I've done a lot of talking and not much playing, actually. So we'll finish off the partisans. Right, I can't abandon Moscow. I will be playing more One in the West. The last few weeks I've just been incredibly busy. And from next week onwards I will have Mondays free. So that's going to be fantastic. It means there's going to be a lot more time. I'm going to have more energy to do these things. So yes, the series will continue. One in the West, one in the East, one in the Pacific. They will continue. I'll try to finish off a few other series so I have more time for these other ones. And keep things going like that. Okay, there's not much I can do about these unless I commit some armoured. I'd say the Luftwaffe field divisions, obviously they are just... they're response units. They're units that are created in a panic. I mean, obviously, in the real timeline, we had the Soviet Winter Offensive, the counter-offensive, and boy, that did catch the High Command off guard, didn't it? So you can imagine the Luftwaffe were basically from these units in. It didn't help that the Luftwaffe was acting independently of the Wehrmacht, taking manpower that should have gone to the Wehrmacht. But hey ho, that's what happens when you have power politics in your high-up echelons. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I do not have any time to continue, but we will continue this series very shortly. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this so far. It's been a lot of talking, not much actually going on here. But a few important things. We've redeployed the reserves, well, the transports to the reserves. We'll have those doled out as we need to. Get some fuel down into the Caucasus. Secure that rail line down this way. Consolidate our forces. I mean, considering that we're only facing yellow here, we're doing very well. The Soviets are going to be suffering a hell of a lot more than I will be. So, we'll work on going towards the Caucasus. And of course, yes, that is correct. There is the term for the army. That is correct. It's just easier to say the Wehrmacht. People tend to know what you're talking about when you say the Wehrmacht. So it's a little bit easier to say that one. Indeed, Black. Sorry about that, my dude. So, thank you for watching, guys. See you all very, very soon in the future. It's been a blast. Have a great day, or evening, wherever you are. And if you do believe I've earned your support, then do consider supporting me on Patreon or a donation on PayPal. Makes this all possible. So thank you, guys. Goodbye for now. See you all very soon.